We're humans, we're tuning forks, we're picking up all kinds of things from one another. We're in a resonant field with one another. It doesn't matter whether we're across the world from each other and on Zoom and we're in the same room. As long as we have our attention attuned to each other.
One, how do you describe the experience of being in resonance?
If I say to somebody, thank you, it gives them, I'm in a social form, expressing myself with clarity. I'm doing what I need to do in order to keep a balance between us. The person has done something for me, say they've cooked for me.
Sarah, she teaches and lectures internationally and is the author of 4 books on relational neuroscience and self-compassion.
Research showing that AI is just as good as humans are at telling which emotions are in human voices. When little animals are playing, they play until somebody gets hurt. Children play till somebody gets hurt. So one of the people got very upset with me because this is a very firm idea in this way of learning language, is that authenticity is the most important thing. And she said, if you're asking me to be warm, you're robbing me of my authenticity. Cannabinoids, endogenous cannabinoids, is the major neurotransmitter of the play system. With all of the psychoactive drugs that exist, they in some way mimic internal chemicals that we carry with us. And so we use our addictions to balance and maintain our internal system with the help of chemicals that are very similar to those that are supposed to be running within us. In those textbooks, when we're little, there should be a lymphatic system and a reproductive system, and the endocannabinoid system should be there. It's the most important system. But because of the war on drugs, starting even in the 1920s, and the racialization of the movement against cannabis starting then, research on cannabis and the endocannabinoid system was forbidden. It only started to be researched about 12 years ago in Israel.
I think getting a definition of resonance and a perspective of what does that mean here?
Resonance for me, it's like we're humans, we're tuning forks, we're picking up all kinds of things from one another. As long as we have our attention attuned to each other, our bodies respond to the other person. We're constructing them within us.
How do you describe the experience of being in resonance?
We're in resonance a lot with vocal tone and facial expression and just kind of body to body.
Could you just help me and help our listeners connect the dots here between the language and the trauma healing you're speaking, and then that kind of nonverbal, vibratory kind of experience?
Human bodies are like this. There's this thing called emotional contagion where we catch what's happening in another body that's close to us. We're just made to do that.
The right hemisphere be connected with the process of play. Is that an accurate way of thinking about like kind of left hemisphere versus right hemisphere activity?
Happiness is in the left hemisphere. So a lot of play is in the left hemisphere. But if we're actually playing with somebody else in that spontaneous place where it's relational, the right hemisphere has to be contributing. So, I wonder what the neuroscience of play really is. There are many things that need to be in place in order for humans to play easily and spontaneously. The more we kind of live in this world without resonance, I don't know if you two have a sense of resonance being rare.
In comparison.
In that experience of comparison, then most often comparison is painful. It's something the left hemisphere does. And analysis is something the left hemisphere does.
What is the nature of these contracts?
There are many different contracts. Those are our unconscious contracts. We'll have personal contracts and family contracts. We also make contracts because we love our parents.
How do we let it go?
For example, one of the really hard contracts to work through is a contract not to speak about the family secrets. This one can take people a couple of years to release. because it's so intensely wired with any self-exploration.
Where can they begin right where they are?
Take just one breath of self-warmth.